We can't really begin to tell you just how excited we are for the next chapter of this adventure. So far, we've driven across America and now also across the UK. The UK was our last chance to prep this vehicle for the long drive to Australia, and now we are as ready as we'll ever be. We are entering Europe, an entirely new landmass. Now we can really start focusing on exploring, and hopefully all of this hard work will pay off. First stop, France. Feels like fall, the corn's growing. Very excited to be here in Europe. This feels like the beginning of like a whole new chapter. We basically are on a landmass now which extends all the way to Asia. So this is very exciting. And we're going to start with that. Oh man, I love this life. That castle on the rock over there isn't in fact a castle. It's an entire village with an abbey on top. It is Mont Saint-Michel. This village rock gets surrounded by water in Europe's largest tide. Incredibly, the ocean here goes out an astonishing 15 kilometers, or 9 miles. It's said to return at the astonishing speed of galloping horses.
More incredible up close.
I used to come here on family vacations when I was a kid, so I thought I'd bring Leah to check out the old rock village. How cute is this place? Look at the little stained glass windows. The roof tiles on this roof are made out of wood. Honestly, it's so picturesque. You can understand why there are so many people in here painting and drawing these buildings. What a cute little place it would have been to live.
There are so many details to take in Mont Saint-Michel, and the smell of French crepes fills the air, as well as your own.
What a combination. Yummy.
It smells like medieval times.
Looks like people still live here. I mean, we just passed a few hotels, so you can definitely stay here, and an Airbnb. You would never have thought it. And plenty of people are still definitely working here. At the top, there are monks who still live and work in Mont Saint-Michel. What a place to spend your time. If it goes through?
Yeah.
If it goes through, your wish comes true.
If it goes through, my wish comes true.
Yeah.
It might not accept the Queen's coin in this French well, but we'll see if my wish comes true.
What was your wish?
I'm telling you my wish.
Why?
It's a secret between me and the well. Mont Saint-Michel was conceived in a dream in the year 708. And legend says that Archangel Michael came to the bishop on 3 separate occasions, instructing him to build a church on the rocky island. Interestingly, during the French Revolution, religion was outlawed and the abbey was closed. The site then began to operate as a prison, and up to 300 priests were imprisoned here.
Merci beaucoup.
These days, though, people do still live here. The town primarily serves as a tourist attraction, so don't be expecting to get the twisty lanes to yourself when you come here. Still, we think it was worth stopping by before we push on into Normandy. Leah en priorité au camping-car, or something like that. It's funny, isn't it? After driving all the way through the Americas and being worried about where we can park and if we would get moved on during the night, we arrive in France and there are signs literally saying this parking spot is reserved in priority for people with camping cars, and you can park here overnight, no problem. You're welcome to do so. Behind us there is facilities for dumping your grey and black water and for obtaining fresh drinking water, all for free. Pretty awesome. Van life Europe, man. Bring it on.
No, look at the view too. And we got friends, donkeys, ponies. This view's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Go France.
Go France. These are tiny apples. Look, how cute is that? I wonder if it tastes good.
Such a beautiful view here, and having these animals here is just extra special. And there's beautiful orchards all around us too, so it's a really special place, this campsite.
Speaking of apples, it is cider season in France at the moment, so we have got a lovely bottle of artisanal Normandy cider, which we're gonna pop open and give a go. Woo! Oh, that tastes very organic. That is definitely, that's not something you're going to get in the supermarket. That is, can't believe that's alcohol. Fabrication artisanale. Even, I still speak with French with a Spanish accent. How would you say that? Fabrication artisanale. Je ne sais pas.
That is good. Yum. There's farms everywhere here where you can stop by and get the local cider or apple juice that they're making on their farms. And some of them even let you stay there as well. So we're hoping to stay at a few farms across France and try their produce, local produce. We know that the French is famous for its great food produce and definitely its wine. And we plan to experience as much of it as possible. When we left North America and headed to Europe, we've got to be honest, we were a little concerned about how difficult van life would be on this side of the pond. However, so far, van life is easier than ever, and if it continues like this, we'll be very happy.
Tell me if it's any good.
What is it?
It's wine, vin rouge.
That's pretty good. You chose well this time.
This time, every time.
Cote du Rhône. This is usually a good wine, so
Isn't it a wine region?
yeah, anything from this region is good. And it's delicious, actually. You did well, Ben.
€2.95. Thanks.
So cheap. It's so good. Like, one of the best things in France is that all the cheap wine is freaking delicious. In Australia, like an average good wine is $30 Australian a bottle. Here you can get really good wine for €2, €3, €4. It's so cheap. And everything we've had so far has been absolutely delicious. I love France.
Want to play Conkers?
Sure, what's conkers?
Conkers. We used to play Conkers when I was a kid. It is the season. First of all, we need to get a conker down from this tree. These are conkers, but you can't use the ones on the floor because they've probably gone soft because they've been out in the elements. You need a nice, fresh one from up here.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Is that the one you're going with?
Yeah.
Is that your conker of choice?
It looks beautiful. I don't know what to look for in a conker. You need to help.
You want a big, you're going to basically bash your conker against my conker.
All right. So I
And
need
so
a
you
big
want,
one then.
you want a hard one.
Hard one.
Big hard one.
That one.
Ooh, that's a good one. Jesus, yours is massive. This one's mine. Let's have a look.
Don't swap them. I know your trick.
Oh, that's big. Ow.
I don't think that's how you play, Lassie. You're not supposed to eat them.
Now you got to drill a hole in that.
I'm gonna drill a hole in it.
Yeah.
Really? Why? I don't understand.
Going for boys, obviously.
Did you really used to do this as a kid?
Yeah. All kids do this across the UK and no doubt the world. We haven't got any string, but we've got electrical wire, so that'll have to do in a pinch.
This is a lot of effort for this game. It better be good.
Oh, it's such a good game. We'll kick your ass. That's got to be the final blow. Look at that crack. Oh, I missed. Oh, what was like a car? Oh!
Oh, yeah!
Oh, victory! I win. Before we left Normandy and the north coast of France to head south, we wanted to remind ourselves about the battles that were fought right here and the enormous human price that was paid by too many people so that all of us could enjoy our freedom today. Such a peaceful place to wake up here on the Normandy coast. Just wildlife everywhere, just vast open nature, so peaceful, but you know what happened here, and you know you can't escape that when you're on this coast, and you have to think back about that day, about D-Day, 6th of June 1944, and how that it would have been so different here. I think it's important to remember days like that, even though it's in the past, it's old news, it's well documented. It has important lessons within that story that transcend time, that's important for everybody every generation, to look back and see where humanity failed and what lessons we can take from that. It's pretty spooky to think that probably quite a few people actually died in this bunker. I mean, it's got signs of like bombshells, and obviously it's been destroyed from the peaceful decades since, when it's just rested on these sand dunes and kind of slipping slowly away into the sand. But yeah, this is definitely showing signs of war. Less than 100 miles away, I grew up on the island of Jersey, where there was also a lot of Nazi war bunkers. Thanks to the efforts of those involved in the D-Day landings, the bunkers I grew up exploring didn't see a lot of action during the war. But here, on these beaches, many thousands lost their lives, and these scenes are deeply moving. But the next war site we discovered was even more disturbing.
For the most part, any destruction from World War II has been cleaned up. France has been rebuilt stronger and now prospers in peacetime. However, this town in central France has been left exactly the way it was when it was obliterated by the worst atrocity of war.
Absolutely obliterated this town. Like, these walls are 2 foot thick and they've just been destroyed by the tanks. There would have been no place to hide. War is a terrible thing. It's actually quite a large village. 642 people were massacred here. The houses that weren't destroyed by tanks were just later burnt. So there was really not much left of this village, but it's been left here standing exactly as it was right after the terrible, terrible act. Really spooky.
After the men and women were separated, most of the men got gunned down and burnt alive, some of them, and the women and children got brought to this church here where the soldiers just threw grenades into the church and killed all the women and children but one woman. One woman survived. Yeah, it's pretty horrific, this scene. Sad being here in this, you can't stop thinking about what happened. It's quite traumatic. But I think it's really important to experience this and just to be reminded what can happen and what has happened, so you can, like Ben said, you can learn from everything. Just learn from these mistakes and hopefully it will never ever happen again.
This might seem like it happened a long time ago and it's not relevant, but it is every bit as relevant today as it ever was, and it will always remain so. The impact we have on our fellow humans is telling, but we have the power to choose whether we leave this planet better or worse than we find it. From here, we are changing the pace and direction of this road trip. We're swapping rural France for the city life. And not just any city, it's Paris. We were hoping to experience real Parisian life, and that is exactly what we got.
Leah!
But that is a story for next time.
Allez.